everyone. So today I'm kicking off my first ever Valentine's Day card series with this cute and adorable Happy Galentine's Day card and chocolate nugget treat tag set that is a perfect gift to give to your girlfriends on Valentine's Day. So let's get started. So we're going to make the card first, and we're going to use the Hearts Entwined die just released by MFT Stamps as part of the January 2019 release. And then I took their wonky stitch die in the largest size and I used that for my card panel. We're going to use some Distress Oxide ink in tumbled glass to do a little bit of ink blending onto the card panel. And the look that I'm going for here is I just want a little bit of cloudy blue to kind of show up outside the frame of the hearts, because the hearts themselves, we're going to do some paper piecing, so they're going to be all colored. So I just want it to look like there's a little like lovely sky blue aura around the hearts. So at this point, I think the blending looks good to me, and we are ready to move on to the to add the heart frame onto the card base. And I'm using my tape runner for this because the pieces were so thin. I thought it would be difficult to use a liquid adhesive on this, but if you are more talented than I am in using your liquid adhesive, then that might actually work better. You might get a better stick, I guess, on the page. So now we're going to start piecing the hearts, and some of them I did off camera. I didn't realize my camera was off. And this is also a paper pack by MFT Stamps that was released, I'm not sure when, if it was last year or a few years ago, but it was something that I just had on hand. And it is called Tiny Hearts Pastels Paper Pack, and it's a 6x6 paper pack. And what I did was I took 4 different colors and I just ran those through my die cut machine, and then I'm just going to take out the little pieces that I need for each heart. And to make the job easier, because the pieces are small and if they become dislodged from the frame, it's going to be really difficult to figure out what piece goes where. I just brought over my cutting plates with the die cut still intact so that it would be easier to figure out which pieces go where for the different hearts. And I'm just arranging them in, not any real order. I'm just trying to put them together in a way that they look nice to me. I'm trying to have an even or almost even number of hearts, so I'm using either 2 or 3 hearts for each of the colors that I've chosen. And I'm using some really pretty apricot and pale pink and pale lilac, and then a really, really light turquoise color. And I am just loving how it looks, especially against the oxide ink background. I just think it's a really, really good look, which I think is just perfect for this Galentine's Day card. Now, I would challenge you to go into your supply closets and see what other 6x6 paper pads you have on hand that maybe you have had for a while and you're looking to get rid of. I think that this is a good project to try to use up some of that pattern paper. And the thing that I like about using all of my die cuts for a card from a single paper pack is that usually the colors and the patterns will coordinate nicely with each other, so you'll get a nice cohesive but interesting look on your card if you do all of your pattern piecing from the same paper pack. So I also think that this card would look wonderful if you use the paper pack that was just released with the January release, and that one's called the Sweet Stack paper pack. And a little bit later on in the video, I'll show you a treat tag that I made using that Sweet Stack paper pad. But for our Galentine's Day card, we're just going to stick with the Tiny Hearts Pastel. For the sentiment, I'm going to use a sentiment from the Sassy Pants sentiment stamp that was also just released this January. And we're going to use the one that says Happy Galentine's Day. I used some white embossing powder, and I heat embossed it or heat set it, and then I also used one of the tag dies or banner dies by MFT Stamps that I think was a free gift or free with 60 for one of their previous releases, and I just opened it now. So that is the little banner die that I'm using for the Happy Galentine's Day sentiment. Now I just took out some clear sparkly sequins that I had on hand, and I'm just going to arrange a few of them around the card panel, so it's kind of in like a diagonal shape a little bit, and I'm going to use different sizes. I think these are like 5 or 6 millimeter, 4 millimeter, 3 millimeter, all the way down to 3 millimeter. And it's just to give it a little bit added sparkle and just interest to the card. And that is going to do it for that card. And I just want to point out I'm using glossy accents under the sequins because the sequins are clear and the glossy accents will dry clear. All right, so moving on to the treat tag. So to make the treat tag, you need that replenishments pack that I just showed, because that's what the little packaging is to hold the nuggets. And then you also need the nugget window, label, and frame die, as well as the treat tag die. And I showed all of those pieces on screen. And this is basically how you put it together. You're going to cut out 2 of the treat tag dies, and then you're going to cut windows on both of them. So this window is for the front of the tag, and this is where our little nuggets are going to pop out of. And then the second window is going to be for this little perforated impression that we're going to leave on the back of the die, so that you can easily remove the chocolates from the tag without having to rip open the whole tag. So I'm going to show you a more exact way to line things up, but for me, I just eyeballed it because there is enough of a difference in size between the front and the back impressions that you don't have to get it exactly. But if you want to get it exactly, this is how you would do it. You would line up your cutout front panel with your back panel, and then you would just lay the perforation die behind it, hold it with your finger, and then tape it, and then run it through the die cut machine, and you'll get like an exact impression. So now we're going to start decorating our treat tags. This die cut is just purely ornamental. It's just to make the tag look pretty. We're just going to put a little border around our window, and this is Mermaid cardstock by Lawn Fawn, I believe. And then I also used my Tiny Hearts pastel paper pack to cut out the little wrappers for the nuggets, as well as the top of the treat tag. And this is one where you probably want to use some double-sided score tape just to make sure that the label stays on firmly. And this is how you would apply it. You are just gonna kind of wrap around just like you're wrapping a present. So you want your ends of the wrappers to meet in the middle on the back, and just make sure that when you cut out your die cuts, that if there's a pattern like these hearts, that you're you're putting your die cuts in the right the right way. I don't know how to say it. So my hearts are, they're going to appear like they're going up and down as opposed to side to side. Does that make sense? So that's just one thing to be mindful, so you don't waste any paper. And then once you have everything all cut out, I'm just going to place the little nuggets in the window. I'm going to use some glue to adhere the top of the treat tag to the treat tag. And now this is a trick for getting the nuggets on without a lot of muss and fuss. So you just kind of lay them on the back panel or the back of the treat tag, and then you're going to put score tape on the back of the front of the treat tag, but we're only going to put it around the window frame. We're not going to put it along the very top. For the very top, we're going to use tape runner adhesive, because that is an adhesive that if you make a mistake, you can still pull up. And to line it up, we're going to start with the top. And then if we get the top straight, then we know the bottom will be straight, and then it's okay to kind of press down on the areas where the score tape is. So that's the trick to get the placement perfect so that it's even. For the sentiment, I used a sentiment from the Sweet Celebrations stamp set that was also released this January. I think it was released in particular with this chocolate nuggets treat die in mind. It has lots of cute sayings, and the one we're going to use is open in case of emergency. And I just decided to change the top of my treat tag color because I thought it would fit better if it was turquoise. I'm going to pop up the sentiment on some foam tape just to make it look interesting looking. I'm going to use some twine. This is, I think, Sky Blue or Sky by Lawn Fawn. I think I got it as part of one of those $20 surprise gift boxes that were on sale around Thanksgiving. And it matches really, really nicely, I think, with this treat tag with the rest of the color scheme. And then I thought that the white edges were a little bit boring, so I'm just going to liven them up a little bit with my Copic marker. And I'm going to use BG01, and then I'm going to use YR14, and then R83. And that this way, the little dots will match the same colors of the pattern paper that's covering the chocolates inside. And then it'll tie, I think, the whole tag together. So it's nice and cohesive, but then colorful and pretty at the same time. So while we're finishing this up, I'd like to hear from you. So what are your plans for Valentine's crafting? Are you going to be making some crafts for your friends and families or your significant others? What types of things do you have planned? Do you typically, make little gifts for your girlfriends on Valentine's Day? I would love to hear from you. And if you have any other ideas aside from this little card and treat tag combo, I would love to hear what those are as well in the comments. So here's our finished little duo, our little combo with our little card, and then our treat tag to go along with it. I think it would be a great present for our girlfriends, perfect for Valentine's Day or any occasion really. And then here are two other versions that I made using the Sweet Stacks paper pad that was just released this January. So thanks a lot for joining me, everyone. I will see you again in the next video.